This is task 1E, the help sheet, where you're asked to create a help sheet that will show how to remove a senior instructor and how to add a new senior instructor. You don't need to worry about taking a photograph or viewing a photo file. Instructions aren't required on that because we're told that they know how to do this. Now, it's not full user documentation, so you don't need a contents page, you don't need troubleshooting, you don't need a glossary. We're just focusing on the instructions. This is known as a help sheet. It's not necessarily a single page, it can be made up of multiple pages, but it must be consistent. So when you're producing your document, we can use consistent titles. Now, of course, our main title of help sheet, it looks like I seem to have styles turned on, so we'll turn those off and we'll just show that we don't want to see any markup, and we don't want to track changes really. Take off track changes and show no markup. There we go. So this is my main title. It's going to be a help sheet. What's it going to be a help sheet for? Adding and removing instructors. Now that title will only be used once. Okay, so it does not matter what font we use for that. Okay, now our subtitles, right? For example, one of the first things that we're going to need to do in our instructions is show our users how to open PowerPoint. We can use styles for. Okay, now I'd recommend that you use your heading 1 style, but you might not like the way that it's presented there. So set up your style the way you want it. Okay, for example, I'm going to say that I want all my main headings, subtitles, to look like this, and then update heading 1 here. So I'll update it to match my selection. Now what this means is that every time now I want to use a subtitle such as removing senior instructor, I can just change that to heading 1. Okay, so that is how we can set up our consistency, and we'll use a normal style for our main paragraphs. So let's have a look at what we're going to do in terms of instructions. Just so the first thing we need to do is show the user how to open PowerPoint. Now, it could be different ways that you can open PowerPoint, depends on your setup. Okay, one is to double click on that icon there, so I could take a screenshot of that. Another one is to go through the program menu and select PowerPoint here. Now, once we've told them how to open PowerPoint, we need to show them how to open the file. Now, it's no good just saying to them, click on this one here in recent documents, because of course it might not be in their recent documents. So we need to show them how to open it. So we would go to open other presentations. Okay, and then we would choose computer and browse our documents. Obviously it depends on the type of software that you're using as to how you give the instructions, but it's really important we tell them exactly where to go. So I would have to tell them exactly which of these folders to choose. Okay, so here we go, here's my file, and I need to tell them exactly which file name to choose as well. That is the file that they need to choose. So I would be giving them the instruction to open that file. Right, so if you have a look at my sample that I've created, okay, in PowerPoint, click on File, then Open, or that's a different way of doing it, File, then Open. And then it goes through the process of going through which folder. Now in this example, I've only put it into my Documents folder, that's fine. So notice how I've got how to open the PowerPoint, how to open the file. We've got to start with that. We've now got to think about, right, what are the set of instructions that are required to remove the instructor and then to add a new instructor, then to test and save the presentation. So we need to go through that process. Let's have a look. When we remove an instructor, we need to tell the user that they need to select this slide, the senior instructor slide, that they need to delete the picture of the instructor that is leaving. So let's say it is this instructor here, the second one. We also need to tell them that they need to remove the instructor's slide here. Well, they can either remove it or they can change it. Okay, it doesn't matter which they do. We'll go for remove. Right, so we'd have to delete it. They've had to have selected it first, and then we need to give them instructions on how to position their cursor in the right place and then add a new slide, making sure that that slide is of the correct layout, picture with caption, or senior instructor if that's what you called it. We then need to give them instructions that where it says click to add title, they need to write the name of the new instructor. Okay, so if the new instructor that they're putting in here is, for example, Amy Grant, okay, and then they can put the names, so the details of Amy. So joined pass first in ... and we can tell them that they need to put those details in themselves. Now we've got to add the picture. So we assume that they have got a picture, okay, that they've saved that picture onto their desktop or onto their computer, and they're now ready to add that. So at this point we can explain to the user that they need to click on this icon here to add the picture. So we'll need some screenshots and we'll need some instructions to tell the user what to do. We click on that picture. We now need to tell the user that they have got to find the picture. They know where they'll have stored that picture. We don't know where it is. So just because I happen to have a picture on my desktop of Amy Grant doesn't mean that they will have that picture on their desktop. They may have it somewhere else. So I've now got this new instructor. We also need to explain to the user they need to copy that picture and they need to paste it onto the senior instructor's slide. So you can see there's quite a lot that has got to be done so far. Then they've got to reposition her and resize the picture. They've also then got to add animation for her. Now what we can do is we can use what's called the animation painter. So we could give instructions of how to use animation painter by going to the animations ribbon and then selecting animation, clicking on one of the images that has already got the animation, clicking on animation painter, and then clicking on the picture of Amy Grant. Now if we click on our animation pane, we can now see that Amy Grant has had her animation added to the bottom, and all we've got to do is move it up to be in the second position, test our slide. So there's a picture that we had before of the first instructor, and there's Amy Grant. Now I'm trying to click on that. Oh, we haven't done the hyperlink, have we? So we need to do that. Okay, so we now need to tell the user how to add the hyperlink. To right hand click hyperlink, select place in this document and choose Amy Grant. Then we need to explain to the user how to test again and what they're testing for, what they need to look for. Finally, we need to show the user how they can save this presentation. Now they can save it with the same file name or they can save it with a different file name. Whichever it is, you need to show the user how to do that. So let's go back to my help sheet. How did I break this up? Okay, well, we started off by opening PowerPoint, opening the presentation, removing the senior instructor. Okay, so we showed how to remove that instructor completely, then how to add the next senior instructor. We went through the process. Okay, test the presentation and save the presentation. So here are screenshots, okay, that have been put in. Notice they are not full screenshots. We've just cropped it down to the part of the screen that we want. There's all sorts of software that you can use. Screenshot Captor is a good piece of software that I use. Here it is, SC, Screenshot Captor. Okay, this allows me to take screenshots and I can do different parts of the screen. Okay, for example, I can grab the active window, or I can just grab a selected region by clicking on Shift and Print Screen. So this is how I did the PowerPoint icon. I held down the Shift key, pressed Print Screen, grabbed it like that. That saves me having to crop images, and it saves me also having to use the full print screen button, put it into Paint or cut it out and things like that. I've also used arrows, okay, to indicate where things need to be done. Okay, that all helps to make things clear to the user. Bullet points help to put things into a list, make it clear what they've got to do. Notice it is all in third person. I'm not saying I did this, I did that. I'm saying this is what you need to do. Right, so I'm giving instructions like replace the words, click add to text with the information about the instructor. And we're only focusing on what we've been asked to do. It's not about how to recreate the whole presentation. So that's the end of task 1. Have a go, see how you get on. Use the similar but different tasks to discuss with your teacher how to do these sorts of things, and then apply those skills to the real coursework.